So the fuel pressure regulator regulates the pressure on the return side.
Barrel stays in place. See, like it's already crimped. And that's it. So that line is already made.
Let's see some.
Now you don't get no swelling when you get on boost or rubber lines that go and delay the signal.
All the weight of this manifold is sitting on the fuel rail. We should put 2 nuts here. That's basically the fuel rail moving.
Yeah, you can put the nuts. Go ahead.
It's kind of like
do something mechanical.
it's kind of like why people use the stainless steel braided brake lines, right? Same concept. So what's the maximum boost this engine's going to see?
Well, you know, we've done these ethanol burning engines with this compression. We've taken them to 38, 40 pounds. They've lived very reliably. But this is an endurance engine, which, you know, it's not a 10-second run or a 7-second run. You know, it's going to be running hours at a time. That's the purpose for all this extra work and the peripherals and stuff like that. The idea is to make as much power as possible with the least amount of boost as possible. And you get that by increasing the volume. Same pressure, more volume of air. So I foresee that we'll be able to achieve what we're looking for, which is 700 horse at about 24 to 25 pounds, which is, you know, on pump gas, on side port motors alone, low compression engine, we're making 520 to the wheels with a relatively similar combination without, you know, the strict intake. Stock RW intake manifold completely, 24 pounds of boost, making 520 to the wheels at 600 on the motor. Or close by, slightly more, slightly less, somewhere around there. So, more volume of air for the same amount of boost. I'm confident that we'll achieve what we're looking for at no more than 22 to 24 pounds. As it is, it's going to be a hell of a lot more power than what you'll be able to use, so we're going to have to dial it back down anyway. Boost is pressure, pressure is temperature, temperature is depth for a rotary engine. So that's part of the reason why all this extra plumbing to address specific hot areas of the block where there's some bottlenecks. But I feel confident we'll reach what we're looking for at a relatively low boost level. Turbocharger is capable of making 1,000 or 900 horsepower on a piston engine. That's 700 horse for a rotary engine. Plenty of turbo. You know, so we'll take it to where we reach the power that I'm looking for. Evaluate exhaust temperature, AFR, you know, that sort of thing. If I see that the AFR air-fuel ratio has to be a little bit on the fat side, keep the temperature down, you know, we might back it down to 675, something like that. If I see that everything is just absolutely dead on, as planned, and my exhaust temperatures are low, and my AFR is you know, relatively conservative without having to go excessively rich, then we'll squeeze it for more. You know, I'd like to max the turbocharger out completely, and you know that when your power is no longer going up, but your air temperature is starting to go up. You know, the power and air temp normally are pretty equal as they go up. When you get to a point where the power stops increasing, but your air temperature starts going up, you basically have maxed out the compressor. So, you know, if we can get 800 horse, 700 horse before I see that point where the air temp starts to climb and the power's not climbing, that's where I know.
That's your intake air temperature? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. There's a air temperature sensor that's going to go right on the manifold, which is going to tell me. I mean, that's an essential part of the ECU.
Right.
The ECU requires water temperature, air temperature, throttle position sensor. What else? Oil temperature, water temperature. Yeah, I already said throttle position.
Block pressure.
And map.
Block pressure, you said?
Yeah. Block pressure in this case is just an extra safety feature, which I like to run on all my race engines, just to see that, you know, all of a sudden the engine's not building up pressure. It may stay at a certain temperature, but all of a sudden the pressure starts to go up. You know, that means that you're starting to come off the ideal balance. You know, whenever one of those indications, like going to a doctor and looking at an EKG, you know, it's like everything has a range where it's, you know, ideal, it's got a sweet spot. All of a sudden, something starts going outside what's acceptable, while everything else is kind of like, you know, where when you're looking for, then, you know, there's a few indications that are going to tell you, you know, you're exceeding the safe parameters. Not that you can't do it, but you can't do it for how long time. You know, on a drag racing application, it's like you can get away with murder. Put it in different terms, it's simple to understand. Airplane turbine engines are rated in percentage of shaft output. Now, for takeoff, you can go up to about 120, 130% of shaft output. That's just to get going. Once you're flying, you pull back and then you go into cruise at about 60 to 70%. You know? So it's when you're starting to exceed the point where you know it's going to live for extended periods of time, you start to exceed that level, your lifespan all of a sudden becomes very short, very quickly. So, you know, we know it up to now. We got sensors everywhere to know what's going on. So. perfect.
Like what?
Aesthetically perfect. The other one is for the double throttle control.
So it sends an electrical signal based on whatever pressure you set it at.
Exactly. At whatever this, as soon as the engine will develop vacuum, it'll close the secondary side of the engine, effectively closing the peripherals also, even though they're closed.
You have a separate for that.
Right. Now when you're driving around slow corners and stuff like that, where you're barely on the throttle, we're gonna keep the complete secondary and third side of the engine closed off till about maybe 6 pounds of boost, forcing all the air to go to the primary side, giving the engine even more torque, because torque is based on intake length, which is actually the length affects it, but it's based on intake charge velocity. Velocity will reach 300 feet per second. That's it. Can't go any faster. The only way to make it get more volume in there is by increasing the diameter, but it's still 300 feet per second is it. So if we keep the secondary side and the peripheral side of the engine completely closed, it'll achieve maximum velocity to the primary side, giving it an extra torque. Then as soon as he reaches whatever, 12, 14 pounds, which will be instant, then these guys will open up. The hot switch will activate the solenoid, which will dump the vacuum, boom, causing it to open. Dig it. The ferrule stays in place. See, like it's already crimped. And that's it. So that line is already made.
Let's see something.
Now you don't get no swelling when you get on boost or rubber lines that go and delay the signal.
All the weight of this manifold is sitting on the fuel rail. We should put 2 nuts here. That's basically the fuel rail movement.
Yeah, I can put the nuts. Go ahead.
It's kind of like
do something mechanical.
It's kind of like why people use the stainless steel braided brake lines, right? Same concept.
I gotta draw it out. We're gonna have vacuum with a check valve acting on the diaphragm. So every time it goes into vacuum, it'll slam it shut. On boost, the check valve will not allow boost to open. Then when we want it to open, the solenoid will, in a key, dump to atmosphere and release the vacuum, and it will cause these things to slam open. Because as they are, they're normally open, vacuum closes them. So we gotta keep them back. As soon as there's vacuum, go like this, boost, you can't do it, and then when the vacuum, when we reach the point where we want them to open, dump the vacuum to atmosphere.
You've done this control before?
A million fucking times.
On all the rest of it?
Not all of them. The ones that I wanted to learn like. It's drastic the difference. The feel, the motor, just idle and just not idle, but just a mild. You know, from a dead stop, light turns green. You know, just getting going. 10, 15 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, the motor just feels like really peppy because you're forcing all the air. Instead of going through 4 ports, you're only 2 ports. The air velocity is quite high. Yeah, that makes the motor like fun. Whoop, whoop. Switch what? The solenoid?
No.
Switch the order of the lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Internal wastegate. And then the one for your boost controller, which I don't know how it is. Well, of course, I think you have to set it up just like that.
You know how to do Teflon tape, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, you'll have to take it all apart and put it back together again, right?